And had I not looked up, did either of you hear the train? Did either of you feel the vibration? Can you feel it now? That's my point. Can you feel the wind as it, even this far away, you can feel the wind that it's creating. And this is about the same size train we're talking about. Moving slower than the last one was. So imagine this moving quicker, and had I not got the page, would you have looked to the left and seen that train coming? Not until we knew what we were listening for did we perceive the danger there. I think I owe a thanks to the dispatcher for the heads up on that.
What did the page say?
Train coming. ASAP. Danny Valenzuela, a good friend of Terry's, had died almost a year to the day before Terry did. He died of a heart attack on a bike training. His was natural causes, but he was on duty at the time. The odd part about that is this is a leap year, and had it not been for the leap year, it was exactly 365 days later that Terry died. And the sad part about it is I'll be going up to Sacramento again this year with Terry's wife. The most difficult thing I've had to do as a chief of police, and for that matter as a police officer, is to go to a fellow officer's home and tell them that they wouldn't be coming home. I think it's made all of us a lot more aware of just how perilous that can be working around trains, and a lot more understanding of how pedestrians can be hit by them. And I think you have a lot more empathy for the public when something like this occurs. Lessons like this are hard learned. The changes that I've instituted, you don't particularly think of them in advance. When something like this happens, it causes you to rethink your whole investigative need for this. And what we will be doing is, anytime any of our officers have any investigative work to do, whether it's a car accident, a train accident, looking for evidence around railroad tracks, you'll partner up and not get any further away from your partner than 2 arms distance, and one person's job will be to look for evidence, the other person's job will be to look out for trains. I would recommend that they get in touch with the railroads, because they do have tapes and information on this. Some of our officers prior to this accident had actually been to a seminar put on by the railroads and had heard this kind of information, although some of it sounds so far-fetched that if I were to, I'm telling you now, and I'm telling your audience now, that you can't hear a train that's directly behind you when it's that close because it's projecting sound over top of you. And I know that many won't believe that. And when I tell you that you won't feel the vibration because you're up on a higher ground that is purposely designed to dampen that vibration, many won't believe that. And when I tell you that a train moving that fast can suck you in, some people may not believe that. Those of us who have pilot's license understand that theory. If you've ever had to land behind a jet in a small plane, you know you have to give them their proper due, or you'll be flying upside down quickly. That's a tough way to land a plane. It's tough to believe these kinds of things until you've seen them. What I would suggest to your viewers are get in front of the information and be prepared to disseminate that information so that you don't have to go through one of these kinds of exercises that will then make believers out of you. Learn from others and take that information to heart.
And now to questions. Do you have ongoing communication with railroad safety and emergency personnel in your jurisdiction? What arrangements do you have with local railroad officials to stop the trains in the event of an emergency? What kinds of emergencies do you feel would necessitate such a request? Searches, natural disasters, accidents? Do you know with whom specifically you would deal should such an incident occur? Do you have his or her phone number readily accessible? Have you taken advantage of railroad safety videos or seminars which might benefit your officers?
Now, a word about a program you ought to know about if you have a problem with underage drinking in your community.
Ron, most communities do have that problem. These statistics are absolutely alarming. And it's also alarming to note that alcohol-related driving accidents is now the leading cause of death among teens. Here, take a look at this.
Is this it?
Yeah, just this and some gum.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Can I see some ID?
is there a problem?
I'll tell you what. I'll go first. You want to step over here, please?
This is a public service announcement for a program called Cops and Shops, sponsored by the Century Council, a Los Angeles-based not-for-profit organization dedicated to reducing alcohol abuse. The concept is simple. Put undercover police officers inside and outside selected stores where liquor is sold to make kids think twice about trying to buy or trying to get someone older to buy liquor for them. The program is aimed at the kids themselves rather than retailers because it's the kids breaking the law. And Cops and Shops generates a lot of public awareness. Participating establishments display signs like these, and they are available in both English and Spanish, warning that an undercover law enforcement officer may be on the premises. Participating shops are randomly selected at strategic times, so the youngsters are never quite sure if the man or woman behind the counter is a police officer. These decals are also prominently placed on coolers in the participating establishments, a last warning to youngsters planning to buy. This program has proved effective in the dozens of communities in which it's been tried.
El consumo indiscriminado y la venta de bebidas alcohólicas a los menores de edad en Santa Ana ha obligado a las autoridades.
And it usually produces a lot of publicity, as it did in Santa Ana, California. Here, the Spanish-language television station gives the program a high-profile shot, showing exactly how it works. The Century Council will help you get started with a complete blueprint for implementing the program. Contact the Century Council at 550 South Hope Street, Suite 1950, Los Angeles, California 90071-2604. Or you can call area code 213-624-9898. Or fax the council at 213-624-9012.
We have some words of advice now from Senior Officer J.C. Cooper of the Corpus Christi Police Training Division in Texas.
He takes sharp exception to the phrase shoot to kill, which was used in programs 3 and 9 of Volume 1. He writes, I realize the phrase is dramatic and sounds good on a videotape production, but it sounds terrible coming from an officer on the witness stand. Let there be no doubt that an officer's intentions when shooting a firearm at another human are to stop the act, stop the aggression, or stop the behavior that warrants the use of deadly force. The key word is stop. Death is sometimes a side effect of the method used to stop the suspect. I often hear that this argument is just a word game. The bottom line is that word games in court are often the reason for finding a perfectly righteous officer civilly liable. We all know officer survival includes surviving in the courtroom after the critical incident has long been concluded. It is my opinion that your promotion of the phrase shoot to kill is detrimental to the goal of courtroom success and survival.
Don and I want to invite you to take a look at our new site on the World Wide Web.
We believe it's the most comprehensive site on the internet, and it's absolutely free. You'll not only get regularly updated production news from Don and Ron, but also a complete schedule of line-of-duty programming, trainer's guides, and duty sheets, law enforcement news, information on ordering back issues, or subscribing directly through our website. You'll be able to correspond with us on our webpage, and you can link up directly with many other law enforcement sites.
It's one-stop internet shopping for members of our Line of Duty family. Just dial up www.lineofduty.com and go surfing.
If you happen to have someone in your department who is proficient in the art of costuming and makeup, you might want to try the old cop in the bush trick, perfected recently by our friends at the Pembroke Pines Police Department in Florida.
Don, all it takes are a few layers of camouflaged burlap glued together. By itself, it looks like a few layers of camouflage burlap glued together. But encase Pembroke Pines detective Earl Fugel inside, and voila, you've got shrubbery that looks so good it's almost too nice to plant. But that's just what Pembroke Pines does. It plants Detective Fugel in the landscape near scenes of potential armed robberies. And then he just mows down the passing criminal parade, many of whom are so surprised they just seem to take root right where they are.
I stood and I identified myself as a police officer. I racked a shotgun one time. I ordered them to the ground. One had an involuntary reaction, and the other three were quite surprised.
Those suspects fled but were later caught. The seeds for the Cop in a Bush program were sown after a string of restaurant robberies in Pembroke Pines had detectives searching for creative stakeout ideas. This is one idea you might want to consider.
Well, that's this edition of In the Line of Duty. We thank you for being with us, and we'd like to remind you also to visit us on our worldwide webpage. That address, once again, is www.lineofduty.com. I'm Don Marsh.
And I'm Ron Barber. Thanks for watching, and remember, next time we may be watching you in the line of duty.